Hey everybody, in the famous words of Bruce Buffer, we are live. It's Friday. For me, it's late morning. I don't know what time it is for you all out there in YouTube land, but welcome. If you're streaming from X or from Facebook or from LinkedIn, of course, YouTube is where we get most of our people. So I'll mention YouTube. It's also where our comments are going to come from. I'm Eric. Thanks for having me. I'm going to explain what we're doing here in just a second. Let me introduce my co-host, Donovan. You there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm back again. Being the co-host is probably going to be more of a regular thing for me, so I'm excited to be back.
Yes, welcome back. It's fun. I like mixing it up, but at the same time, you get comfortable, you kind of get into a rhythm, you get into flow. I think that's it's good to change it out just enough to like shake things up. So anyway, that's what we do here. We like to keep people on their toes. So speaking of shaking things up, Donovan, before I talk about what we're doing today, is there anything housekeeping that I maybe am forgetting or you want to get off? And then what we'll do is we'll kind of get that out of the way and then we'll go into our topic for today's live.
Well, on topic for what we're talking about today and something that we talk about every week. If you haven't heard already, if you don't know already, coming up in November, we are having a convention, a SketchUp convention that's been tied into Trimble Dimensions. So it's SketchUp Base Camp at Trimble Dimensions in Las Vegas. So if you like hanging out with us here on the lives, if you like the videos that we put out every single day on YouTube, and you want to come meet the team behind all things SketchUp, come hang out with us in Vegas in November. It is going to be an amazing experience, and we can't wait to see everybody in person. It's great getting to know everybody in the comments and the stories and the comment section on our videos online. Even better when we get to meet you in person. So if you don't know already, or if you haven't signed up already, go get your ticket for Base Camp, and we'll see you there.
My big head is blocking all the actual good content. So I'm going to shrink myself down. And then since I've got this page up, this is actually a perfect segue to what we're doing today because it's actually part of Basecamp. It's an extension. It's part of our programming. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to shrink myself down so I'm not blocking all the good stuff. Okay, see, now we can see your chats and everything too. So I've got more space. I like space.
There we go. Yep.
So real quick too, for those that have thought about presenting, we extended our deadline. I think it's by another week for call for presenters. So if you are for call for speakers, so if you had that in mind, this is your last chance to get that submitted. So that's it. That's our housekeeping. So over here where it says enter a challenge, a challenge is, this one actually is what we call our community competition. So the one that I'm in charge of is going to be this AR one. So for those that remember from that attended or even submitted, you didn't have to attend to submit to our competition in 2022. We had a theme that was called Curious Creatures, and we had these cool QR code window clings all over the windows of the Vancouver Convention Center, and you could scan it and you could place this really awesome creature in the space and walk around it. Now what we're doing is we're kind of taking that idea and we're doing what we like to do at SketchUp is expand on it. Our theme is expand your horizons. So we are expanding on that concept and we're also flipping it sort of on its head. Instead of having an object that you can walk around, I thought it'd be fun is what if you had something that had a hole in the middle that you could put yourself inside of, and then someone could capture a photo. So I'm going to build one of these today with you. So I'm going to explain more in just a few minutes, but just really quickly, just so you understand that it is this idea of creating a photo. I don't want to say frame because it feels too simplistic, but it's essentially something that acts as a portal that will frame you, the viewer, and will be cool enough to transport you to another world. Vegas is funny. Vegas is like we're in a Venetian hotel. You could be in a contemporary kiosk in a Venetian hotel next to New York. Who knows where we are? Might as well, we can be in outer space while we're at it. Right? Donovan, have you been to Las Vegas recently? The Sphere.
Recently, no, it's
for Dimensions.
Been a few years.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into the criteria. I'm going to talk about that later. I will want to scroll down to right here where it says, here are the official rules for those that want to participate. It's open up. It should be open up to everyone. If for some reason we look at the official rules and you have a question, let me know. But basically, the prize is that you get your model submitted. So we've got spot for 6 of these interactive AR exhibits. It's almost like, think about this like little museum. We're gonna have like this little room where it's all AR stuff, where we can interact with your models, maybe one of mine, but hopefully not mine, hopefully yours. So what you do is you download this template when you're ready to get started. If you're gonna read the rules, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. Hopefully it's something that is fun. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna download this template that I built for you, and it's going to give you not only some directions, so just some guidelines, and it's going to give you a space. Now we are in, I'm going to download this right now because I'm going to start with my own template file. This, so this is posted to 3D Warehouse. So that's kind of cool. 3D Warehouse is also a big part of this competition because that's where we're going to get the template, but that's also where you're going to eventually, we're going to host your model. And then we can do this view in AR feature, in which case you get the QR code and you scan it with the device. And then you can go place the model in your space. We're going to do that together today too. Fingers crossed. Technology, man, when you got all these things rigged, we're going to see. We're going to try. No, we're not going to try. We're going to do it or we're not going to do it. We're not going to try. Okay. Here we are. You can see my AO shadow. Love the ambient occlusion using version 2024. If you don't have it, go get it. Let's go ahead and open up that template and let me know if you have any comments too about this competition. Obviously, we'd love to hear when you guys are chatting about whatever. While I'm building my entry for this competition, let me know some of your ideas, because I'm only seeing it from my perspective, right? And the cool thing about these competitions is when we get to, when I'm totally surprised. When someone comes up with something that's like, oh, wow, I never even thought to do something. You guys are about 1,000,000 times more creative than I am. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
Speaking of the template, for anybody that's following us on X or LinkedIn or Facebook or whatnot, I dropped a link in the comments. If you don't see a link in the comments, whenever I put links in those comments, again, like Eric said, hop on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SketchUp, and all the links and everything you can find in there.
All right, well, let's do it. Let's get started. We spent a few minutes just kind of getting warmed up, letting you know the context. If you're joining us late, scrub back. That'll tell you what we're doing, why we're doing it. And then otherwise, we're just going to get started. We're just going to roll. I have an idea in my head. It's actually based off of a concept that I did in Vancouver. I gave a presentation. We did what's called a model along, and we did a sci-fi. I didn't do, because my background's landscape architecture, and I thought, well, it would be fun if we did a landscape, but we did it on another planet. So let me open up a reference image that I used for that presentation. And that's where my head went with the theme. I want to talk a little bit about, just briefly, I wanted to have something to show. For those that have seen this game, it's a video game called No Man's Sky, and it parametrically generates millions and millions of planets. So you can go basically into space, just like in real space, and you can just basically go from planet or moon to moon. And the cool thing is it's parametric, so it's being auto-generated. So you don't even know what you're going to come up with. And that's kind of like this competition is I don't know what we're going to get, and this is exciting. But the concept art for it was something that I thought was really cool. The inverted, saturated colors, the kind of weird forms, crazy animal-looking things, plants that maybe are similar but very different than plants we have on Earth. And I thought, well, let's build something like this. That's my entry. And by entry, let me just clarify what I mean by that is we have these themes. We want to make sure that we give you something to think about. So we can go, we want to think about time and space. So you can go back in time, you can go forward in time, or you can go into a fantasy world, build something that is just completely impossible that you would never see, something like from Alice in Wonderland. And so those are sort of our three like themes. And I'm going to kind of combine future with imagination and imagine what it would be like if we could travel to other planets. That's what I'm going to do.
Alice in Wonderland was definitely a direction my brain went when we first started talking about this competition.
That would, there's so many cool ideas, and this is just the one I just had to got to pick something.
Yep.
We're gonna. Okay, I would love to. Maybe I'll do.
I'm not complaining. No Man's Sky is a fantastic game if you like games and are into that kind of thing.
So what are some? Let's look really quick at some elements in this photo, and I'm not gonna come back to it too many times, but I want to just kind of pick apart. I mean, there is. Excuse me. I think this was the image that I ended up sort of preferring just because I think it's a little bit more manageable. So there's these really cool rock outcroppings. Number one. There's this really interesting looking tubular, sort of globular, cellular looking plant thing. And then there's like these craters and boulders and things like that. So you've got ground, you've got plants, you've got rocks. There's a background, which we may or may not do fully, but I think I would love to allude at this idea of depth. So, and whether or not we have time to do something like a little bit more fancy, like build a tree from scratch, we'll see. But I'm going to pull some elements from that, and we're just going to kind of go for it and see how it goes. So why are we using this template? I'm going to turn the text off here, if you don't mind. These are the instructions, but I don't really want my people to be part of the instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my instructions and my dims off. So this little frame slash space, the reason why we're kind of limiting it to the size is because we're putting them in a room. It's in Venetian. We're in a much smaller space than we were when we were in Vancouver, when we had giant spaces to work with. So we're kind of constraining a little bit more. And then if you turn that backdrop off, this is basically the space that we're going to fill. And then we're going to have a physical backdrop so that when you project your design, ultimately, when we project the design and you put yourself inside of it, you'll have a wall behind it. And the reason why is because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to get other people standing and posing for their other AR exhibits, right? It's going to be kind of like crazy where a bunch of people are walking around like this. And then you come into the room and there's like, what are these people doing? I don't see anything. But that's the cool thing about AR, right? If you have the device, you can see it. And if you don't, it's not there. So we are somewhat limited by the physical size of the room and the number of entries. And this is kind of what I'm imagining. I want to see what it would be like to stand there and to go inside of an AR model and then take a photo. So let's do it. So that I'm going to use for reference. The boundary is not a hard boundary, meaning what I mean by that is, of course, you don't need to keep it within this really tight square shape. Just generally keep it within the size. If you go taller than that, you're going to punch through a ceiling. If you go wider than that, you're going to overlap with somebody else's model, right? So you're going to see I'm going to break this boundary. So I got to think about where I want to get started. What do I want to start with? I can do, Donovan, I'm going to look to you. Do we want to do some ground plane first, some craters, or do we want to do some
let's start from the bottom up.
Bottom up. Okay, let's do the ground.
Bottom up.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of leave that on for now, but then I'll turn this off once we're done. So let's save this. I'm going to get in the habit of saving things. Let's see, can you see my keycaster? Let me see if I can move my keycaster to... Nope, it doesn't want to show up on showing up on my other screen. It's Friday, folks. Yep, okay. Can't see my keys today. That's all right. So what I want to do is create some craters. So that's pretty easy, actually. I don't think that'll take very long. We just need to figure out what the shape of our crater is going to be, and we'll use the follow me tool. Of course, we can do a more complex crater, but I think I'm going to start with just a simple one. And then Donovan, too, while I'm doing this, I would love to hear if you've got a different way to do something. This is a great way to kind of maybe, we have the time. We have the time here today. I don't think this will take me, well, of course, now that I said that, it's going to take me a long time, but I don't think it's going to take me too long.
You're jinxing yourself.
I'm jinxing myself. I just did it. By saying that, it means I'm not actually going to finish.
So while we have a minute, I
yes.
just wanted to call some people out. We've got people coming in from Devon, UK. We've got people from Tennessee, from Chesterfield, England, Agnola, Syria. We've got people come to us from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, from the Czech Republic, Vancouver, Washington, Colorado, Copenhagen. Oh my goodness, all over. Hello to everybody. I don't know how to say hello in most of those languages spoken in other places, but for my own sake, I'll leave it at hello. Happy Friday. Glad you're here.
Yes, it's a good thing that we don't have to. I read an article about, or I saw a headline about this guy who speaks like 24 languages and he's like a savant. And I was like, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I just do the one. So thank you all for coming in and tuning in with us today, wherever you're coming from. So I don't know where I'm going to put these. You can see I'm already breaking, even just by putting a couple of these like craters, I'm already breaking that boundary. And I'm also not wanting to go very high. So if I turn my hidden geometry on, this might be a good opportunity to check to see if I have my, this template was built before 2024 was released. So what I may want to do, I said mate. That was a combination between may and might, if you didn't catch that.
I did not catch that.
You didn't catch mate, what I may want to do?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get it now, but.
Okay, so what I may want to do, I just did it again. I didn't mean to, I swear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the AO on because it's kind of cool. And what I wanted to do was see if it gives me like a little bit of an effect. Now, what you're not going to do, I do want to point out that our 3D Warehouse does support AO, so you can see it in 3D Warehouse, but the AR doesn't yet. This is the challenge. It's the cool thing about having all these different tools and things. But, then getting everything to sync all at the same time at the same level. So the 3D Warehouse has the AO capabilities, but the AR does not. So I don't want to be dependent on the AR, but I also want to, I just want to play around with it. So I'm going to move these. I'm going to probably continue to move these, but I just wanted to kind of create some moon craters and then get started there. Now, what I was also trying to say is think about, for those that enter, obviously I'm putting something on the ground here, which is within that archway. If you have something there, anything that within that arch where someone's going to stand, it's going to try to interact with the person. So sometimes it means that the iPad, and you'll see what I'm going to do a demo at the end, but sometimes what it'll do is it'll put the model in front, and sometimes it'll put the person in front, depending on the device and the lighting and the settings and the scale. So that's why I kind of want to recommend just keeping this middle space somewhat clear. Again, it's up to you to determine if you want to break those rules or not, and we will look at it. And if you're bending the rules, great, do that. But of course, if you break them completely, it may not work. It just may not work as a photo experience. So what I want to do is I'm the kind of guy who like bends the rules because I don't depends on the rule. All right, so those are some craters. If I turn my shadows on too, so you can't really tell, but they are. The other thing too is you want to make sure that I am modeling everything sits flat. So there we go. Okay, that was easy. Where's my easy button? Let's go move on.
Hopefully all of it is going to be that easy.
See, that's fine. Maybe we'll do more than one. Let's try to put some more detail into one. Maybe we'll do some more. Let's do some rock formations. I'm going to go back to my image really quick. Let's do these kind of craggy looking rocks, and how that's going to fit. I don't know how I'm going to arrange it so that it actually looks cool. I haven't really figured that out, but I also like the way that there's atmosphere in here. And so I might actually fake that using a texture, because the AR you can't use the fog settings and you can't use watermarks when you're using AR. So it's almost like when you model for AR, you want to really be thinking about what AR likes and doesn't like. All right, let's see what this ends up looking like here. If I pull this up, I did this video recently where I built a whole building using just one component. So I'm using just this same component, but I'm going to sort of look at scaling it. So I can scale it and I can stretch it. Now, one thing I can't do is taper it, because if you taper it, it'll taper all of them, right? So if that's an effect that I want, that's kind of cool. Or what I may want to do is wait until the end and come in and make just this one unique. And then if I just kind of, so I'm working with one component, and then at the end, maybe the one at the top sort of starts to taper. I don't know. What do you think? Donovan?
I
I like it when
Oh man.
remember when you make the decisions for me. It helps me.
Yeah.
I don't have to overthink it.
Well, I'm trying to think back to the picture, the pink.
Okay. Well, let's look at that really quick. There's some cool like cracks and stuff in it. So maybe I want to go a little.
Not quite uniform.
Yeah, maybe I want to kind of make this a little less uniform. Whoa, that was cool. Did you see that? I don't know what I'm doing. What did I do there?
Oh.
Let's see here. I want to, actually, I don't really need to do this. I don't really need to do this at all because I want to just grab a slice out of it and I don't need the vertical. See that?
Yep.
So I'm just going to kind of slice this rock up. Whoa, that's kind of cool. I don't know what it's, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know if it's supposed to do that or not. And then I could pull, I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to break up the uniformity of this a little bit. There are extensions that we could use, like Enroth's terrain volume. Fractal, she has one called Fractal Eroder, which is kind of a funny name. I think that's what it's called. Oh, Terrain Eroder. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've never used it.
Oh,
I haven't used a lot of extensions in SketchUp simply because I use iPad the most, and iPad doesn't have extensions. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna say I love the iPad version. Oh, look what I did. I twisted it. So that's another way to get some variety is to come in here and twist.
Oh yeah.
That's maybe that's a little bit too much. I don't
Yeah,
know.
a little too much.
Maybe too much.
Got to be subtle.
Yeah, I can be subtle. Okay. So what if I break this and I grab that? I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to play with. I'm just kind of, I don't know. This is where like something like vertex tools probably would be for those that know vertex tools. Because what I'm doing is I'm just basically just deforming, geometry. And then this one crack here maybe is too much, but it's also because I've got my, I also have my AO on there, so that just darkens that crack up. And then the other thing too is, me, I know we have this amazing flip tool, but I also still just, the Chris Rosewarne method. He was the one that I sort of learned the scale by negative. So I can't make these rocks too big. Can't make these too big because they'll I'm going to sort of break out of my height limit. So I want to break out of that box, of course. I want to stay mostly within that box. I'm going to break it, but I don't want to go too far. Again, I'm trying to avoid punching through the ceiling. So maybe what I'll do is just kind of stack a few of these up like this. And what's cool is that even though it's a component, so again, I don't know, let me go ahead and put some color on that right now. Although,
it's looking pretty good already.
I had an idea. I want to do something really quick. We're going to do a little segue. We're going to do a little tangent.
Let's do it.
We're going to do what's called, this is a humor me moment. So humor me is this idea of putting I want to see if I can apply a texture outside to the component box. If you apply it on the inside, it's going to apply it evenly. So I want to open up a new Photoshop file. I don't need it that big, maybe 700 pixels, maybe 200 by 800. Yeah, just sort of something more vertical. And then what I want to do is come over here and grab two colors. I want to grab my pink, my hot pink, my magenta, and my cyan. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab a gradient. For those of you at home, you're like, what is this guy doing today? So what I want to do is get a nice gentle gradient. So I'm going to zoom out. There you go. But maybe a little bit more pink than blue. What do you think? Okay, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, definitely more pink.
Does that work?
Got to fit the high color contrast theme of pinks and the blues.
Yes, and we're going to call this gradient, and we're just going to test this out. We're going to save it as a JPEG, and we're going to save it to my desktop. Okay, that was it. That was my tangent over. Could have come prepared and had that already set. So what I want to do is explode this. So now it's a texture, right? And then if I move this down and I kind of line it up with where this is going to be. Do you see where I'm going? You see where I'm going?
Yep.
Okay. So now my
like I say, I'm picking up what you're putting down. So
yeah, I like that. Whoa, that didn't work at all, but that's okay. That's okay. Let me double check to make sure this texture is being projected. It is. It's because I'm painting on the outside of. I'm painting on the outside. So let me go and do this. I'm going to group one of these, and I'm going to come in here. I made a group, not a component, because I'm exploding my components. I don't think they need to be components. And then look what happens. Do you see that color change?
wow.
Do you see how I had that?
Still,
see how I have that
gradient?
Yeah. So now here's the deal. What I may want to do is come over here and edit this. Nope, I don't want to edit that in Photoshop. Excuse me. I meant to position this. So if it's because it's being, if this is how high I want to go, then I could try this again and see. Do you see if I want more like if I want more blue, if I want it to be more blue, I could just make a copy of this, and I could select this image and then do that. And if I wanted it more pink, then obviously I've got one here. So I would just come over here and copy that. Now I can't, of course, I lost the ability to componentize them, but that's why I did the component first, and then that way, because I always like it as a component, because if I choose to explode it later, that's okay. But if I want to make it a component later, it's too late, right? So I start it as a component, and then I can always from there go to a group. So that's I have my original components here if I need to. And then now, of course, because I exploded this, if I wanted to, I could go in and do some tapering. I call it taper, but it's just using the scale. That would be tapering, right?
A lot of people saying this is a mind-blown moment.
Oh, really? See, this is a thing. I was just, like I said, as a tangent. I mean, in my head, I just have these ideas, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And I love it obviously I love it when they do. And I love it even more when I get to bring people along for the ride, even if it doesn't work. Because what you get to see is you get to sit with me as I think out loud. And I have to just hope that's fun for you. Now watch this. What if I'm looking at this image and I'm saying, that's too blue, I want more pink, but the problem is that the way I did the gradient, I did it sort of split 50-50. If you come over here and you come over to this image here and you say texture and you say edit the texture image, I've set Photoshop as my editing app, so it goes straight to Photoshop. Now this is where I come over here like this and I go back to that same gradient and switch that from, I just want more pink, and I just want just that tiny bit of blue. Just like that little bit of blue at the bottom. Is that better? And I'm going to save that, and then watch what happens. Did you see that? Probably couldn't see it.
That is so cool.
It auto updated because I'm using the same. It knows that I'm using that image, and so that link is preserved. It's cool. So I can change it as many times as I want, and all I have to do if I want to do, watch this, if I want to do something that's a little bit different, I could just come over here to colors in model, and I could duplicate this one, and then I could come over here and I can edit it, and I can edit it one more time, and then I can change my hue saturation. So this is just an easy way to just get that same, just to do something like, again, I'm looking at No Man's Sky and bright and crazy and out of this world. So I'm going to save this image. Now that image wasn't applied to anything, but all I have to do is come over here and just take that one and apply it. So now what I have is, excuse me, I don't know why that face doesn't want to apply, but I can also just use I can just sample and do it that way. So what's cool about it is, Yeah. All right. Anyway, so that's it.
Even if you stopped right here, it would still be amazing.
Okay. Remember, folks, I want to say that we're pushing boundaries today, but actually what we're doing is we're working within constraints. We're trying to be creative, even though we have a constraint. There's two constraints. Number one is the size of the space that we have to work with. We are constrained. We are putting multiple photo experiences inside of a ballroom, essentially a conference room. It's a big space, but ultimately we will be inside of a room. Second thing, constraint is the AR capabilities. So when we think about colors and we think about shadows, think about ambient occlusion, all these cool things that we can do in SketchUp and V-Ray and all that stuff. When you go to AR, you're trading some of those, and that's okay. We just have to know that going into it. So let's go ahead and turn that off. Excuse me, I don't want to turn the backdrop off because the backdrop will be there physically, so I definitely want to keep that in mind. I'm going to hide my friends for right now. And I want to keep the bottom rock flat on the ground, but I don't know if I can do this. Can I do this?
Can you do this?
Can I do this?
Can you do this?
Can I do this? Can I? What I want to do is like make it look like I want to almost create like an archway with these rocks, right? I want to make it look like they're leaning because they're creating that sort of frame that I'm after. And again, folks, I'm just making all this stuff up. I know on the spot. It's I love what I know what you're going to come up with. Whoever enters this competition, I know that you're all going to do a way better job than me. I'm just saying that, and that's not like a humble brag. I mean, it's true. You guys, what you did with the Curious Creatures was so impressive, and all I was able to do was make an anglerfish. I made an anglerfish, and I thought, that's pretty cool. All right, so what I want to do is make one of these unique. Oh, I never made these components. Oh, good. So that means they're all unique, because here's the thing. What I want to do is just use this as like a template. And then I don't want to spend the whole time on rocks because I don't know how interesting it is for everyone, but I do want to just kind of feel like I have some variety here. You have to be careful. If you stretch too far, you can see what I'm doing is I'm splitting that face, you know, if you go too crazy with it. So what I'm trying to do is just do some like a little bit more subtle moves. The other thing you can do is, you know, to create variety is we can do a nonlinear scale. So we can squash and stretch. And I do want to make sure, I want them to kind of be smaller as they go into the distance to create forced perspective. I don't know if you guys know, you're a Disney guy, Mr. Donovan, right? You know me.
Yeah, I was about to say principles of animation talk coming in right here.
I know, and you also know Main Street USA, each floor, the ground floor is true to one scale, and the floors above Main Street are like 3/4 scale. And what it does is when you walk down it makes it feel taller than it actually is because you're using forced perspective. So.
Yep. Another example is if you do the backlot tour in Hollywood studios and you get to see the movie sets, there is a forced perspective city street, I think of New York, that it's quite an experience of looking down, you know, a few feet of a street, but making it feel like it's an entire city block. It's amazing what art can do.
Yeah, I love it. I hope the people in the chat feel the same way. I'm going to take this same texture and I'm going to try, do or do not, as Yoda says, there is no try. I'm thinking about applying a gradient to the ground, but maybe this isn't going to work. So let me grab one of these. Oh, you know what might be cool? Shh, Donovan.
What would be cool? Where are you going?
Okay, stay with me here.
Okay.
We're gonna do another tangent. But don't worry, so don't forget there's this disc, right? And so from a distance it looks, it actually, you can't tell that it's a crater. And I want to emphasize that. So what I thought I might do is come over here and then make this texture, take texture, and I want to make this, can I do that? I want to make this how do I make this? Oh, there we go. I forget that it's not in the texture submenu. So now what we're going to do is when we edit this unique texture in Photoshop, I'm going to do a radial gradient. So starting from the center and radiating out.
Have a couple of people that say things like, I love Eric thinking out loud. Keep thinking out loud.
Oh, thanks everyone. See, this is why I do this here, because otherwise it's just me thinking to myself. And I've learned to be okay with that, but it's not as much fun. Okay. I mean, I've learned to accept that, I should say. So what I'm doing is I want to make sure this texture is projected, because I'm going to now, in this case, instead of projecting vertically, I'm going to project, horizontally. I'm going this way. Instead, I'm going to be going down. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to come into this component. I'm going to paste that down. And I thought, it's a little bit more moony. When I say moony, I mean like moonscapey. So now those discs, the craters sort of feel more apparent. Maybe that's not the right color. I'm going to go with it right now. Let's look at it. If it doesn't work, again, we'll change our minds. The overlapping, now that I did that texture, I feel like I don't want to overlap the discs. I feel like I want to just maybe make smaller ones, and then just a bunch of smaller ones. Here's the deal though, if I do a uniform scale like this, what's going to happen is that this one, it's going to float above and below. So I want to lock that down, and I can use if I want to, I could use the stretch in the vertical direction. They don't even have to be perfectly circle. They don't have to be circles though, do they? I mean, we could, if I wanted to, I could. All right, you guys get what I'm doing. How's everyone in the chat doing? Happy Friday, everyone. It's been a long week for me, and it's been really looking forward to come and spend some time with y'alls. How are we doing?
Chip Cookie says, you've gotten so much better telling us your thoughts, and that is a great thing.
I try and make it interesting for you. I mean, if you guys are, I say this, if you're going to give up 2 hours of your Friday or an hour and a half, whatever we end up doing today, I want to make it worth your time. And I hope you stay the whole time. I hope people don't come in and out, because here's the thing is that I may not have gotten to the best part yet. Right? So there's still more stuff. We're going to do some cool stuff. So stay with me. I may not be done with these craters. I may actually want to come in and just grab, I just want to grab one, and I just want to kind of place it as a boulder. Now, don't have to worry about edges. Now, edges don't show. So if I come over here just really quickly, and I just come over and I just turn my profiles and my edges off, right? I know that looks kind of funky the way that it is here, but this is going to be more in line with what I think. I'm going to save that as a style because I think that's actually kind of cool. And then I'm going to save it to a scene. And then I'm going to double check my scenes, and I'm going to disable camera location. And the reason why is because that's just a style scene. That's all that is. So this scene 3 is going to be no edges. And then this scene 2, I'm just going to call this my working scene because it's got all this junk. It's got Tyson's Boneyard. Tyson, respect.
Yeah.
And then, so I can kind of go back and forth. And if I wanted to, I can just hide these just for this particular scene. What's cool about that is that if I like turning the camera location off for my rendering scenes, and the reason why is because it's really what it's doing is it's acting less as a camera scene, and it's acting more as a scene state. So it's saving turning tags and things on and styles, and that way when I'm over here and I just want to see the hidden geometry, I can just click a scene and it's way faster and I get everything. And then right. So do you do that, Donovan? I know you said you already said you're kind of more iPad-y, but
yeah, definitely more iPad-y.
Okay. So thank you for entertaining my tangents today. I told you, kind of warned you earlier that it's been a long week and my head is in different places. So let's go ahead and pause there, save, and then let's go ahead. I'm starting to feel a little trippy here with what we're doing. I want to, speaking of tripping out, I want to create these mushroom cloud looking plants. And I have an idea how to do it, although I just migrated to 2024 and haven't reinstalled some of the extensions. You can just copy and paste, it's easy. But I actually don't mind the new version when it wipes your extensions out. The reason why is because it's kind of like spring cleaning. I get a bunch of stuff that I install and I don't use, and then some of them they're not compatible. Not all of them, most of them are actually updated, but every now and then it's a good idea just to go through and just be like, let's just clean house and let's just bring back like the 10 that I really use. So the point that I'm trying to make is I haven't gone through and brought everything back yet. So I'm doing this relatively, I don't want to say extension free, but we're going to call it extension light today. Does that make sense? So let's go back to our working scene here.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Also, I want to kind of think about, not only do I want to stay, well, I've got actually some wiggle room. I'm doing a pretty good job at staying within this frame. The other thing is, hey, question for the chat. I want to put a message in and be PG, but let's put like a little thought bubble of saying something. You know, it's almost like, because you know, like when you stand in front of those angel wings and people go post it on Instagram and stuff. Like, what would you, maybe it's not a thought bubble. Maybe it's a, I don't know, think about it. If you have any ideas for me, let me know how we can make this more interactive and immersive. And it's almost like there's two competitions. The first competition is I want you to enter something, the competition. But the second competition is there's going to be 1,000 people or more, 2,000, who knows, because we're merging with dimensions. So we might get a bunch of dimensions folks that weren't, who are going to kind of come and see what SketchUp's up to, all the cool stuff SketchUp's doing. So we don't actually know how many people, even if we have 1,000 SketchUppers at Basecamp, we might have another 1,000 come in from dimensions. So the point of this, that for me is the competition is if you have 6 of these to choose from and you only have time for one selfie or one photo moment that you're going to post to your social, which of these 6 are you going to choose from? You're competing to get yours picked, not just exhibited, but used. So my point is what could I add to this that someone's going to look at it and say, that's the one I'm going to put myself into and take that photo.
Peggy says SketchUp is out of this world. Ty says SketchUp, it doesn't stink.
It doesn't stink.
Old school callback.
Yeah. SketchUp, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. I like it. I don't know about you guys. I know there's always people who have better ideas about how SketchUp could be better. And I won't pretend that, we do everything perfectly. That would be stupid. But I will say that, hey, it works for a lot of the stuff that I want to do. I like it. Okay, so what I was doing here, let me go back to this. What I want to do is create a curve. But what I found, Tyson, another shout out, pro tip. Tyson told me that when you're working on, I've learned a lot from Tyson. I learned from Aaron, I learned from Matt, I learned from all of the people on our team, but I worked closer with Tyson for a long time because him and I did SketchUp Campus together. So him and I had just more time, just him and I. So what he taught me is that if you're going to do follow me's and stuff, draw yourself a vertical plane, and then if you're going to draw an arc or something, draw it on that, because what you're doing is that you're using like a vertical face as like a guide, because otherwise your arc may actually be clicking onto something that you don't want it to. Right? Okay.
Kevin said, Ahmad says, I catch you because it looks like monster fingers. Somebody standing amidst some monster fingers.
Oh, that does feel a little bit like a hand coming up. That's cool. I didn't think about that. But again, that's the thing. I'm thinking this literally as rocks, because that's where my brain goes. Like I'm kind of as much as I want to think that I'm creative and hope that I'm creative and try to be creative, ultimately, I take things pretty literally. That's why you can't joke with me. Because if you make fun of me, it'll hurt my feelings, because I'll be like, really? What did I do? Okay, so here's what I'm doing for this. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing, this is a bit of the slow way, but we have the time. We're making pretty good progress. I just want to, so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing, again, this would be a shout out to TomTom's vertex tools. This would also be one that you could use. Fredo's, he has an extension called Fredo Scale, and it has a tool called box tapering. And so instead what I'm doing is I'm just kind of doing these manually, and it doesn't bother me. You know, like some people are like, well, it's a faster way to do it this way. You can do it automatically. It's like, yeah, but you know what? That's like the AI talk. Well, you can just type in a prompt and it'll just do it for you. But I like doing it. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry,
it's all about the process.
I ranted a little bit there because it's like, but I want to do it. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. It's fun. I do this because I enjoy it. It's like painting. It's like, could you take a photograph instead of do a sketch? Yeah, it'd be a lot faster way to capture it. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is to do it. Is to be in that moment. And it's almost like a moment of meditation. It's like be in the moment and just be present with just me and my geometry. That's the name of my memoir.
That's the name of your memoir. I was about ready to say, like, your sketchbook would look entirely different if it was all digital pictures on your phone.
So should we go wacky colors on this one, or should we just make it kind of brown like that you see in this image? I mean, again, I don't want to rip off. I will. I'm not going to rip it off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a gradient because just want to kind of see. I just want to see. So we're going to go back to this gradient, and what we're going to do is we're going to check to see if I can just change the hue and see. I want to see if I can do something more in the brownish range. Maybe that's not the right way to do it. Maybe the best way to do it is just to go grab a brown color, and we don't have to go, everything doesn't have to be fantasy here. You know, if you just want.
I mean, there's nothing to say we can't make it our own.
Yeah, I mean, and then the other thing too is, and it doesn't have to be super, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this desktop gradient brown. And the reason why is because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this one, and I'm gonna double click it, and then instead of editing it, I'm gonna load it. So it's gonna ask me, where do you want to load it from? I'm gonna load it from my desktop, and I'm gonna pick the brown one, and there it is. And then what I'm gonna do is come over here and pick what I think is about the size of this little stem. And there it is. And if I want to flip that over, if I don't like that color, if I don't like that direction, I could flip that over, grab it again, and paste it. I don't know if you can even see it. It doesn't even look like a gradient. That was probably an awful lot of work, but okay. What's kind of cool is there's this cool extension, and it's called, I am going to use, speaking of an extension, I'm going to copy this. So let's go into plan view for this. I think it's going to be easier. What I'm going to do is, that kind of looks, I won't say it. I'm going to let you guys use your imagination. Looks like a banana slug, but you guys, looks like a sweet potato. So what I want to do is come over here and go extensions. Chris Fulmer has one. It's a really simple version of like creating randomness, and you go scale and rotate randomly. What I want to do is scale the center of the component, and I want to change the scale from 0.75 to 1.25. I'm going to rotate it minimum 30 degrees and maximum 300 degrees and see what happens there. What you get is you get this randomness that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise. And then of course what I want to do is grab all these plants that are going to come from a central point. So maybe I do need to, I thought I was in parallel projection. Yeah, this is looking kind of weird. I don't know if this is, you guys, if you're just tuning in, then bear with me. Bear with me.
It's looking something.
You're going to be a little bit confused, and you have every right to be questioning my judgment. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do here is also I'm just going to start to just scale these just like that. You know, they're meant to be tuber-like. It's an alien life form. They're probably a little fat. I could come in here. I could scale the whole thing down to make them thinner, and then I could lift them up, right? I'm already seeing Matt. Matt likes to create shorts of cool things. Matt does this great job looking at it, going back and watching her videos and saying, what can I snip out that's like 10 seconds long? And it's like, just this is kind of a cool, what are you doing here? The cool thing about this is you could make this a component, and then you could make this unique, make those all unique, and then come over here. Oh, I don't want to do that until the end though, because you know what I mean? What you can do is you can create variety just like that. Yeah.
Chip Cookie says it looks like an anemone. Anemone.
Yeah, good. That's cool. Let's do that. Let's go with that. Now let's go create these little donut looking flower pods. Again, we can use this as artistic license, so we can do whatever we want. How are we doing on time? We're doing great on time. We got to get the
yeah, we're good.
We got to do some clouds. We got to do this cool diamond. We got to do some funky flowers, and then we need to save about 15 minutes at the end on it. And so you're my time check guy. Make sure we're saving about 15 minutes to go into AR, because if I can't get this model into AR, I have a backup. I have a test one that I did when we were building this competition. The point is, all right, because what I want to do is I actually want to put myself inside of. If it's not this one, I have, again, like I said, because sometimes 3D Warehouse, it takes a while to process. So we may not have time to put myself inside of this one, but we're going to do it. We're going to put myself inside of something today. So create these little nodules, these little donut nodules. I think what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to steal from myself. This will be even easier than I hope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to make this unique, copy it, scale it. I'm going to bring this back up. Looks like a Frisbee. Looks like my dog's water dish. Okay, I'm going to group those, make that a component. I'm going to take the materials out of that, and I'm just going to grab a blue color for now. If I want to, I don't know, maybe I will. Since we're going through all this trouble, we might as well.
Yeah, why not?
Wow.
Why not, right?
See,
why not?
That's why I like you, Donovan. You're just like, why not? Let's go for it. Okay, so instead of using hue saturation, what you can do is come over here to adjustments. I know this is not a Photoshop class. You can come over here, what's called color balance, and I just want to put it into the blue range. Or alternately, I can just come over here and grab a blue, and because I like that color, that shape, and then I can come over here and then use the color layer style, right? So I'm just changing. I like that shape, and I'm not going to redo it. I'm just going to save that, pop back into, and then there it is. So now what I can do is just come in and apply this one. Oh, that didn't work, and that's why. The reason it didn't work is because I need to do it this way. I need to apply it to a face, and I need to. There it is. Okay, so here's what I need to do. I need to move this over like that.
That's trippy.
It's trippy. I know.
It's trippy.
I know. No, folks, I've just had coffee this morning. I have not had anything else that would influence my decisions. Okay, so this needs to be texture, double check texture, projected, that's why. Come over here, go back inside of the component. You can try on the outside. That's not gonna work. I need to go inside because it already has one applied to the inside. I'm getting this fracturing, which is weird because I projected it. So, hey, it's okay, folks. Can't all be winners. You can, though, if you wanted to do this like the old-fashioned way, you could come in and just do something like, just go a little bit darker. You know, you could do something, you could create a gradient pattern by just coming in and, you know, just go a little bit, whoops. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to select. All right, that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. And the reason why is because I kind of want it to look like, well, that's funny. It looks like two different colors, but you want to know why? It's because of the lightness slider. So if I go to, if I go to 0 and I go to 90, then this would be sort of its true color. But then I lost. Yeah, I got to do that again. Just figure it out. Okay, I just want to see, like, almost like a flower has like a central piece to it. And that one I did a non-uniform scale, so I'm going to scale that down. And then I'm going to come into my little anemones, paste that in place. Oh, that's kind of cool. Almost like it's like a Disney cartoon. It's like Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies or something, where like they're doing like a ballet.
Yeah, Fantasia.
Whoa, and this is a bit of a trippy session. So thanks everyone. We're doing something. We did say we were going out of this world today. Here's the problem with this. Oh, I've got an idea. You guys are gonna like this. See? Do you remember Dumb and Dumber? Do you remember when it was Jim Carrey's character? He's like, wait. Yeah, I just had an idea. Oh, actually, it doesn't even matter if I have this blue thing, because if I leave it centered, then you won't even see it. So I did all that work for nothing. The other thing is we need to think about whether I want to sort of have these rotate as they go up. It's like still too thick. So I hear Taylor Swift dropped a new album today.
2.
Did you guys 2?
Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's chat. Are you guys not blowing up about this? Like, you know, is that not the coolest? I don't know. Maybe maybe the SketchUp live stream isn't, you know,
the target demographic.
Yeah, maybe we're not the target demographic, but still, you know, again, credit where it's due. Okay, I'm going to stop there. What I wanted to do here, I wanted to show you something. This is kind of a fun trick that I've done in the past when I need to create variety. So what I mean by that is, let me just do this last one because I want it to kind of curve as it goes up. And I want this to scale, and I want to scale that down. Okay. Oh, and I might want to, and you can also scale it this way.
Our comment section is like, Taylor who?
Oh, come on. Okay. This is weird. This is weird. Okay. What you could do if you wanted some variety is what you do is you go into this component, excuse me, you copy it, you go out of the component, paste it in place. You go into this component, copy it, go out of the component, paste it in place. Go into this component, copy it, paste it in place. And the reason for doing this way is that I'm selectively choosing which ones I want to go, but I don't have to go in and line them all up. And I'll give you an example. If I go in here and I hide these, do you see? I now get that randomness because I'm only placing certain ones and I'm doing it outside of the component. So it's how I move information. I like to move information from inside of the component to outside of the component. And by doing that, you can actually move between components. So it's almost like if you think about like, it's almost like quantum computing. There's like a parallel universe and I want to move information between the two, even though they're not synced. In this case, maybe that was a bit of a stretch, but. So if I turn on my hidden objects, I could just go in and say, well, I want that one, but I only want it there. So I paste it there. and then I can unhide it. See what I'm saying?
So when you paste a part of a component in place after getting outside of that component, does that make the new component unique?
Nope.
Or does it tie it into that original component? So if you make any adjustments, it then, it then will adjust every iteration of that component. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, but let me think of a smart way to answer that. Because I'm also doing math as well, so I can't do both.
Take your time.
Okay. All right. So I probably killed this plant already. I probably spent more time than it's due. What it's doing is, excuse me, what I have is two components. It's a nested component. So I have this plant component here. So if I turn my hidden objects on and I go into the original component and I copy this, and then I turn my hidden objects off. Actually, I need them on. And then I go outside of the stem component. I'm inside of the plant component. So then if I paste that in place and unhide it, what it's doing is it's now going to show up in all of the plant components, but it doesn't show up in the stem component. See what I mean? So that's how I'm able, otherwise I'd be placing each one of these manually, and then I'd have to place it, rotate it. So instead I did it once, and then I copied and pasted it so that wherever I wanted, because what I didn't want is every single one to have them all in the same place. But I also didn't want to make them unique, because if I make them unique and I edit one, for example, I change the color, now all of a sudden that one's unique, but it's actually not unique. Because when a stem, if you think about it in a real life, a real plant, it's going to be exactly the same as every other one. It's the same color, it's the same leaves, but the leaf size might be slightly different. Where the length is slightly different, right? So in a way, it's almost like organized. It's like organized. What's the term I'm thinking? It's not chaos, because organized chaos is their oxymorons. It's like controlled randomness. Does that make sense? It's like predictable randomness. It would be random if it's predictable.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, here's the other thing I didn't do. We have limits. We may, again, we have some flexibility, but we've set this at 200,000 polygons, because when you're using AR, you cannot just go in and grab a sync from 3D Warehouse and it's got a million polys. Like AR may or may not want to render that, depending on the complexity. So while we're 200,000 is a low limit, we did that on purpose. So what I do want to do is double check my model info and see where I'm at. I'm at 260, but then again, I've got a boneyard. So when I'm done here, my goal is that I'm closer to that 200,000 mark. And again, I think I don't know, if you were 201 or 210, would probably use our judgment as to whether or not we would allow it. These are just, a lot of these are guidelines, to make sure that that things work well. I want to get rid of that green. It's bugging me. Whoa. Yeah. It's just that green is just sort of too intense.
Ooh, Chipped Cookie is reminding us, have we saved lately?
Yes. You can't see it because I turned my keycaster is going to my other screen. But I it's kind of like blinking. Like I'm on Control S, like pretty much after I do anything. Control S. It's automatic.
Played it safe.
Sorry, Command S. I'm on a Mac, but you get it. You get it. All right. So I'm gonna again, because of my poly count, one thing I may want to do is I may want to go into this original component, and I may want to just take those out. Whoops, not those. Select all instances, and I may want to take those out. I don't want to do that. Maybe I just want to take a couple of them out. That one and that one. There we go. Okay, that's going to lower my poly. Let's see what that does to my poly count. Just taking those. I'm 173. So I lost. My math isn't that good. It was about 30 5,000 polys just in those little discs. I probably did them when I did my arcs. I didn't go in and set my arcs lower. If I really wanted to, I would go in and say, well, I don't need an arc with 20 segments. I could get by with 12 or 10. All right.
Is there a certain number of polygons you always try to stay under whenever you model?
No, nope. Especially with 2024, now I'm the opposite. I'm just like, let's push this thing. I always tell people, like, especially with 3D Warehouse, I tell them, excuse me, I tell them, be careful with 3D Warehouse because it's easy to like bloat a model, and you want to make sure that you're not putting anything in your model that you don't need. And what I mean is that if you need it, then have it. If you need a model, if you've got 100 trees and they need this much detail, and you're at 3 million polys or 4 million or whatever, then great. But if you don't need it, then don't put it in. So that's just kind of common sense modeling. But in this case with 2024, I'm having fun where it's just like, I'm at like 13 million polys or 20 million polys and stuff that where I would normally try to avoid that. I'm just like, yeah, doing all right. Doing all right. All right. Speaking of doing all right, how are we doing? Okay, you can see that I'm breaking the boundary, right? I'm breaking that boundary, and I said I would, and I'm telling you, if you're entering out there, if you're thinking about entering, I would encourage you to break that boundary a little bit. And I say a little bit because if you break it a lot, we may not be able to accept your submission. But if you overlap it a little bit, go for it. Because here's the thing: is I don't want to be too prescriptive, and I don't want to be too constraining. Hey, should I put one of these in there, or no? Is that color? Do you think if I had one of those in there? I mean, it doesn't really add much. I was just playing around with, oh, you know what you could do? You could give the illusion of, do you remember talking about forced perspective? It's another way to give the illusion of depth. Donovan, pop quiz. What's another way to give the illusion of more depth than there really is?
Just shadows?
No. I mean, maybe, but that's not what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
Atmosphere. So typically when you look at mountain ranges, the further back you go, usually the more blue it becomes or the lighter it becomes because there's a lot of particulate matter. There's ozone and stuff between you and that. So the further away it is, the more faded it is because of the atmosphere. So one thing you could do, of course, we have a fog setting, which would be fun to just play with briefly here. We have a fog setting, but remember what I said, we can't rely on all the cool things that SketchUp gives you, all the cool tricks that we could play with here. And the reason why is because what you're not going to get, doesn't that kind of already feel like the ones in the back are being pushed?
Yeah.
Like
that already gives it like depth.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. This is fun. I'm having fun today, guys. I was a little worried. I do this every time though, because I think that's just in my nature, is I'm a little worried. And then when it comes together, or should I say if it comes together, then I start to get a little excited. So one thing we do is force perspective is to change the scale. And the second thing we can do is add atmosphere. Of course, again, it doesn't really work in our case. It's a cool effect with the ambient occlusion. I think the ambient occlusion, let's see, do I have it turned on? I don't. I think that's a pretty cool, I've never actually tried ambient occlusion with fog. This is new territory. Folks, you are coming into new territory with me today. We are going on a journey. If you like the show Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson, we are on a journey of the imagination today. What do you think? Is that cool or no?
No, it is cool.
Honestly,
I'm really liking what ambient occlusion has been able to do in terms of the models. So I'm all for using ambient occlusion.
It's weird. It is tied to edges and profiles. You'll notice when you turn them off, it gets blurry. The edge is like a way to tell the ambient occlusion to stop. And then when you don't have an edge, like if you see this with plants, just a little thing that I'm learning because this is new. This is new to me. But if you don't have the edges, what it does is it almost looks like it's out of focus. It needs that edge. And so if you don't, it's okay. I mean, saying if you like that look, that's fine. But for me, hang on, I'm going to turn, let's see. Maybe I'll turn my colors back on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having fun. I'm having fun today. We're just playing around. I hope we're not losing anyone because it would, again, I take things, I'm pretty sensitive, so it would hurt my feelings if I lost you because you didn't want to play with us today. But we're playing today and I'm having fun. I mean, it's a simple model. I mean, this is what we're doing is not anything really kind of crazy, but it's fun when you get into like styles like this and you get to just see what this does. So I'm gonna turn shadows off because when you have ambient occlusion, fog, shadows, and you're doing things with like lots of polys, it may kind of get mad at you a little bit. But I'm using the scale. I might just kind of use, again, I can use that Chris Fulmer's extension. I want to be careful that I'm not pushing these too far down below the ground because the model in the 3D warehouse I think it knows where, if this is sticking out, I think it's going to treat that as the bottom and it's going to kind of float it. So I do, just kind of as a rule, I do kind of want to I don't want something punching through the ground. So I'm going to kind of hold my 0, 0, and I'm going to turn my fog off now, folks. We're done playing around. Thanks for entertaining me on that one. Whoa. I just can't help myself.
And that is cool.
I just play.
I know.
And I just look and I see what it does and I just go, oh, that's interesting. And then I go, what happens if, because you guys are wondering what I do during the day when I'm not teaching here, creating content for SketchUp. When I have time, not scenes, styles. When I have the time, I come over here and I just play around a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get back to here. I'm going to get back to our task here in just a second. What I want to do is look at edge style because there's a cool one. It's called by material. So if I turn my edges back on, you can do this by material, which is kind of fun. That doesn't work. It works better if you assign things to different tags, but I'm not going to use the color by tag. The other thing you can do is do by axis, which shouldn't help because everything's off axis. So in this case, I would say all the same. But if I wanted to change that to something a little bit lighter, I could look at what that looks like inverting with light lines, or I can just stay with my darker lines. I'm just going to stay with those. I'm going to leave that there. Okay, so let's wrap up. I want to get this into AR before we call it a day here, and I think we're doing okay on time, but I don't want to waste too much time. So Donovan, we have to decide here. Help me out, or maybe let me know what people are saying in the chat. We could do some little grass blades. I feel like the ground plane, no one's really going to look down at the ground, so I don't really want to do that. We could model some clouds. I could do the tree, but here's the deal with the tree is we've already got these rock columns. And remember, we only have so much space. So I feel like a big tree and the big rocks might compete with each other. But there is this really cool diamond thing in the back. Now you have to be careful. This could bite us in the butt. But if you stand in front, if you have something behind you, the AR may not know whether it's smart enough to detect the person. And it should put the person in front. But sometimes it's not sure. And so sometimes it puts the geometry in front. So it almost like has to decide. So what I'm saying is if we put a backdrop in, we're going to run the risk that it may cover a person. What do you think? Should we put some clouds in and have them off to the side so we can get some atmosphere, some height? Should we work on a sign, some sort of banner that says I'm with stupid with an arrow pointing down at me because I'm going to put myself into the model? What should we do?
Yeah, Chip Cookie is asking, so a person has to look below to see the other stuff?
Well, it's AR, so it depends. It depends on the distance. If you stand far enough back, like where she is, you can get the whole scene in and you can capture your feet. Now, depending on the model, if there's nothing interesting happening on the ground and all the action is happening above the person's head, then you may want to step closer. And I'm going to show you here in a minute. I have my iPad sitting right here. You may want to get closer and capture almost like from the waist up. That would be what you would think of taking a traditional portrait. But it depends on the model. If you build something that has really cool ground plane, maybe you want to take a step back and you want to get the whole thing. If you go too high, again, if you go too high, you're going to be outside of the frame. You're going to get cut off. If you go too wide, it's not going to show up, because when you take a picture of the person, whatever's on the sides won't show up. So what I'm really thinking about here is, when you think about that template that we started with, I'm really thinking about, I'm going to hide her for just a moment. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is a good opportunity to place myself. I'm going to place a camera here, and I'm going to look straight, and I'm going to come up to the average height, 5.5 feet. Do you see that? I'm standing where she's standing, 10 feet away. Now when we've designed, I'm doing the space planning of the exhibition room that these are going to go in, which means that we are giving that 10 feet of space. We're going to give you that 10 feet of space, and we're going to have a little marker on the ground that says, capture your photo from here. So you should be designing, when you're designing your model, your photo op, you should be thinking about whether you want the whole thing to be captured, or if you want, you can take a step forward and then you can capture something like this. Now this makes me think that there's this prime opportunity right above the head, which is to either put a message or to put that diamond or to put some clouds. I'm kind of missing that sort of right above the head opportunity. I've done all this cool stuff on the ground, but if you take a picture from the waist up, it's sort of a missed opportunity. So let's do that. Let's wrap up this effort by doing something sort of above the head, even if it's just like a sign, a banner that says 3D Basecamp rocks, like hashtag follow me on Instagram. I don't know what kids do these days. I don't take pictures with my phone. What should we do?
I mean, we could make it to 2 dimensions.
Link it to dimensions? Yeah. Okay. So let me go. Yeah. Let's go here, and then let's create. This is interesting. We could do it. We could create a banner with. Let's just create a message. Let's just create a little message really quick. Let's try it. So I have this. There's a great extension which I don't have installed. So we're going to do it with native tools, and it's called.
Diggy recommends adding gas clouds.
Gas clouds. Ooh, I just had an idea. Yeah, I don't know. What we're going to do is we're going to write expand, if I can spell it, and I'm going to create this. It's extruded. I'm going to place. I don't know if I want that font. So here's the thing. I might go Tools, 3D Text, and let's go to Fonts. I'm on a Mac, so it's going to pull that up. So expand. And then what I'm going to do is I want something, there we go. I want it nice and fat. Okay. So now what we want to do is I'm going to do this again, which is going to be, did I spell expand right? I'm dyslexic. I don't know. expand.
It looks right to me.
Okay. Now there's this great extension by TomTom. He makes editable text. So in this case, what I would do is I would right-click it and I would edit it, which I think is great. But I don't have that installed, so I'm going to go ahead and go Tools, 3D Text, and I'm going to type your. And correct me if I'm just, our marketing folks will get mad at me if I expand your horizons. Is that the theme?
Yeah.
Isn't that I should know the answer. Expand your horizons. That's
yes.
Kind of our conference theme, and that's exactly why I'm building. That's kind of why I'm building this thing, is that I'm thinking about going to outer space, and that is about as far. That's about as far as my brain can go, as far as expanding things. Oh, the horizons. The word horizon can be done two ways, right? If you think about it, like a horizon is literal, like the end as far as you can see. But horizon also, I think, means like time as well, not just space. Do you want to try bending this text into like an arch, or should we just keep it simple?
Well, would it? how would it fit in the frame if you're looking at it head on? Like, would it be better to have it bent
Oh, I don't know.
in relation to all of the, the foliage that we got going on?
What I want to do is, and again, I'm not saying we did not say that you have to have a message in yours. We also didn't say that you couldn't have a message in yours. So if that's something that you think if you think it would make it cool, if you think it would make people, if it's obviously it needs to be appropriate, all of that stuff. But if it sort of reinforces your theme, I don't know. Okay, let's go back to, I forgot to grab that shot from where she's standing. So I'm going to explode these gals, hide her, and then I'm going to place myself here again. I need to save that as a camera. So let's go 5.5 feet, and I'm going to go add that, and then what I have to do is go into my scenes, and I have to make sure that camera location is turned on, and this is going to be, what are we going to call this? I'm just going to call this photo moment. Because that's kind of what this is. When someone's like, what?
Transom says bend it.
Bend it. Bend it like Beckham.
Bend it like Beckham.
Okay, so here's this thing. I'm going to do this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this back, and we're going to play a little shuffle. We're going to do a little shuffle, a little truffle shuffle. If you know, you know. If you don't know, then look it up. Okay. You might say, yes, but it's being cut off by that other one, and you're right. So I'm going to do this 2 versions. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to update this because you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that frame. That's just there. That's part of the template. So what I could just do is just come over here and just bring this over just a little bit. I actually like that it's behind. Because if you take it, because remember, you don't even have to take the photo from straight on. You could tilt, and then the model will stay there, and the person will be there. But you can take the photo from a different angle. There's nothing that says you have to take the photo straight on. If you wanted to step over to the right, because you can get a cooler angle. I don't know. This is like, I knew that this is going to be a weird stream today because it's just me thinking out loud.
Well, if there's one thing we've learned from the people in the comments, is that they totally enjoy you thinking out loud. So
okay, well, I appreciate it. I love our audience. I say that every time. I love our SketchUp. Hey, by the way, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, because you know what? I love that too. Because here's the thing: is then you get notified when we go live, and you get all the updates that we push out, and it just makes us feel good because if we just see our numbers go up, and it's like, I don't know what it means. I don't know. We just love having you be part of our community. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do another version. We have time. I've got about, I'm going to say 10 more minutes, and then I need to switch to AR or else we're not going to be able to do this. So I'm going to do this. While we're doing this, I'm going to do a version of this here. I'm going to do a clean version of this. I'm just going to take this here now, and I'm going to group this. And I'm going to come into a new file. That's me, by the way. If you guys saw my video on my new scale figure, that's why I had to put a box in there because I'm sitting, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, bye, Eric. Purge all of his materials, edit, paste in place, and make sure that this is sitting on axis. And all right, I'm just going to get this because this might take a few minutes to render. So as an option, I'm going to go ahead and save this as a file right now, and we're just going to call this expand your horizons. And then I'm going to save this as a SketchUp, SKP, and we're going to pop over here into tangent again. We're going to pop back over here to 3D Warehouse. It's going to say upload content. This is how we're going to do this. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're going to drag and drop your content right here into 3D Warehouse. Now, this is publicly available, so if you guys want to try this too at home, you can. I'm going to leave this up. Fingers crossed. Again, 3D Warehouse is funny how it sort of renders. So this may or may not work, but I'm going to call this 3D BC Community AR competition entry by Eric, which is, and I will call this art. This is art, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is, it's funny how it says uploading model and then it says done. So wait a minute. Isn't it supposed to tell me that it's done? Why would I click done? Because here's the thing, is that what if I clicked done and it wasn't done uploading? But shouldn't that be cancel?
Does it do it in the background?
I don't know. This is where I get confused, and sometimes it sprinkles some magic, and sometimes it's magic. It needs to go recharge its magic. So we're gonna see. I have a backup plan though, always. You know me. So let's finish this up here. Let's spend a couple minutes, see if we can bend some text, and then if that doesn't work, we will call the developers. I can see your Ahmed. Yes, I see your chat come through. Our developers have a lot that they're working on. So the last thing they need me is poking them. But whenever I do find an error or a glitch or something, I obviously forward that on so that, because of course, you know, we want to make sure that everyone knows about it. Sir, here we are. We're going to bend some text. We need an extension. We're going to go here. You're going to come with me on a little journey to the extension warehouse. Speaking of my good friend, Chris Fulmer, I tell this story a lot. I went to school with Chris Fulmer. He studied landscape architecture with me. And I'm going to go shape bender. We're going to go on a bender. We're going to go on a shape bender together. Now, Chris, if you're watching, thank you firstly for all the extensions that you made. I used several of yours. They're great. They're simple. I like simple ones. They don't need to do a ton of things. They just need to do a couple of things well. But shape benders are a tricky one. Sometimes it gives me trouble. So I'm going to point out that I might not get this right. So let's see. So what it's going to do is I'm going to copy this text over here. And I'm just going to maybe come over here and rotate that up 90 degrees. I'm only doing it one at a time, and you'll see why. Because I have an idea in my head. So it needs two things. It needs to know what you're bending it. It needs to know how you want to bend it, and it needs a line along the red axis. So there's my red axis line. Oh, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't hate, but I do. I'm learning to like accept the fact that it's okay for me to struggle live in front of all of you, because when I used to do these, I was like, everything has to be perfect. I have to nail it every time. And then now it's like, you know, it might work, it might not. We're going to come over here. We're going to find Chris Fulmer tools, and we're going to find shape bender. And it's going to ask me, it's going to say, please select a single line that lies on the red axis, this one. And then it's going to, if you look at the bottom corner, the other corner, please select a curve to bend the shape to, this one. And then what it's going to do is it's going to ask me, it's going to say, use the arrows to toggle how you want the projection of that. And so when you're done, it says press enter to accept. And so there it is. Now, obviously what it did is it not only bent it, but it also stretched it. So if I really wanted to do this perfectly, I would maybe realign it, but I'm going to go with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a little marker there, get rid of that one. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do that again. So hopefully so if anyone's used Shape Bender, it's a fun one. Because again, I don't have my Fredo tools installed. Select a line on the red axis. Select the shape you want to bend it to. Use your arrow keys to toggle how you want the projection to go. Hit enter to accept. We are expanding our minds today, folks. We are expanding.
It's what we're here for.
We are expanding. You know what? If you're not expanding your mind, I don't know. I don't know. Like why not? Okay. All right. So obviously this is not what I'm intending, but I'm having this vision in my head of doing the same thing I just did with expand your horizons, but just having it curved because it kind of makes it feel more like an arch. So there's expand. There's your, but of course I'm going to need to rotate that. And here's horizons, which I'm going to need to rotate that so that we're sort of, and I'm just guessing. Obviously, if I want to do this accurately, I would it almost looks like it's falling off a cliff, doesn't it? Because of the, doesn't it look like it's being, like it's stretched? It is stretched. Whoa, that is, whoa, whoa, like Keanu would say. I don't know if that worked. I'm going to let you guys vote in the chat. We don't have to do a formal poll. I'm going to go ahead and place this here. Save. And then I'm going to scale it. In fact, I might do this one in front of that rock instead of behind it, because here's the deal. So maybe that's a smarter idea. So I'm going to toggle two scenes. So bear with me. Patience, everyone. I want to check to make sure that I'm staying somewhat within my guidelines. Whoa, that is kind of trippy, isn't it? All right, so this one is the boring one, which I'm going to just, I'm going to save two scenes. I'm not going to say that's boring. I should give it more credit than that. I'm going to say that that's just the less dynamic one. So photo moment. I'm going to update this, and I'm going to scale that one down a little bit. Now that this is the, whoa, it actually is kind of cool. It almost looks like I meant to do this. Look how like the rock on the left is high and then the rock on the right is like lower.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's almost like the rocks are like hitting it, like they're thrusting up, and then the sign goes like, whoa, I'm here.
Peggy says rotate it sideways.
No. Oh, do you mean rotate like in this direction? Like that? Is that what you mean? Because you wouldn't go the other way. I don't know. I almost like it looks like it's slight. It's being hit by that rock. Okay. There's so many different ways that we could do this. I just ultimately, at the end of the day, just have to pick one and move forward with it. Okay. And then, okay, so that's this one. And then let's go ahead and update the scene. And then let's add another scene. And then let's turn on hidden objects. And I'm going to get rid of this one. And I'm going to unhide this one. And I'm going to update that scene. All right, so let's toggle this one. Should I apply a color to it? Do you think that would be helpful? Or is that going to be, do you think that's too distracting? Does that help, do you think?
Oh, no. Yeah, well, yeah, it helps a little. When it's against the rocks, it definitely helps.
Yeah, because you want to know why? It's like, again, it's almost like I know what I'm doing here. It's CMYK. So CMYK are print colors, and they go really well together. So yellow on the yellow and the magenta, and then also the yellow and the cyan actually play really well together. So we'll just pretend like I did that on purpose. Of course, we could also use that gradient texture, and we can bring that gradient into it, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm looking at the time, and I want to go to AR after this. So let me pause here in the chat. I want to go back to where we started. It was a big ask. I kind of did a big ask. If you go to enter a challenge and then out of this world AR competition, there's some doubters out there. I'm not going to call them haters because they're not haters, but there's some doubters out there that are like saying, Eric, do you think, are we going to be able to pull this off? Like, is this going to work? And in my head, I'm thinking, no, I know this will work. This will work. So what I want to look to this group here that's with me in the chat. Like, does doing this together, does this make more sense? Does it feel like more tangible? Does it feel more accessible than it did if you just read the description the way that we wrote it? Let me know in the chat, because this is good feedback for me. Because if we need to change the way we describe it, I'll do that. But here's the deal. I'm hoping that you see how accessible this competition is, and I hope that encourages people to enter. So I'm going to leave it at that. what do we need to do? We need to go to AR. We're going to go to AR. So what was the vote? Did you guys want to do, what are we doing? Are we doing curved or no curved? Curved? No curved. Curved? No curved. Oh, we could also do this.
Apply texture. Oh, yes, definitely. Yes,
whoa,
yes, yes.
Whoa.
Curved text, curved.
Whoa,
curved.
That's sick.
Curved.
Dude, you're breaking, you just broke the internet. I don't know why people say that. Why do people say that? I didn't break anything. That's cool. All right. How are we doing? Do you want to see how we're doing on our poly count or no? Does it not matter?
What do you think it's at? Any guesses?
259. That's manageable. First of all, I think if I get rid of my boneyard here, should I get rid of my boneyard? If I get rid of this here, if I get rid of her, and I get rid of this. I mean, I'm a little higher poly than I should be for what I'm doing, but if I get rid of this one, that one. Now, do you think we did it? 244. Mm-hmm. That was it. Oh, that was 244. That's it. I'm still too high. Okay, I'm a little high. That's all right. That's all right. Oh, you know what? I didn't get rid of this, but I don't really want to get rid of that because I kind of need that for right now. You can see again, folks. You can see that I'm pushing out of our boundary a little bit, and I'm totally saying I'm running this thing, so I'm totally saying it's okay to leak past that boundary a little bit. I just did. I'm breaking the rules, so please break the rules. All right, let's go pop over to this is where things are going to get experimental. Do you know SketchUp and Layout 2024 has like the experimental? I think it's Layout has experimental graphics. This is where we're going to press the experimental button right here. We're going to check that on because we're going to go into new territory that we may not work. We might break something. So. Okay, stay with us, folks. If you've been with me this long, thanks. Stay with me a little bit longer because this is the whole point is that we're building up to this moment, and I hope that it works. So, wish me luck.
Yep. It'll be good.
So what it says is view in AR. This is exactly what we want. Now, sometimes the AR doesn't render. I don't know why. Maybe I did something wrong, something that I could talk to the developers about. If it doesn't, that's okay. Try again. Don't get discouraged. For me, in this case, it looks like it's working fine. That's great. I did have a backup just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to, this is where I get a little scared. I have this iPad here and you need to be able to see what the iPad sees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this QR code up and I'm going to switch over to the iPad and we're going to see if this works. Okay, hold your breath. Here we go. Don't crash. Don't break the internet. Can you hear me, Donovan? We didn't even test this.
Yep, okay, I can hear you.
Okay, I hope everyone else can hear me. Can you see this? You can see this. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come over here, and I can't unplug it. That's the problem is my cord is actually, I'm going to click on this. It's going to say open SketchUp. All right. Whoa, that looks trippy. I don't think that's, again, I don't know if that's right or not, but hey, we're going to go with it. I'm going to talk, it looks metallic. I asked our developers why they do that, and they don't know. So I'm going to continue to work with them and figure out why it puts that metallic sheen on it. So I think it's still cool though. So what we're going to do is, you might not be able to hear me because I'm going to go take a selfie. So what I'm going to do is, if my mic drops out, just tell me. We're going to do is place it in my space. Now I don't have enough room for this here. You can see it's actually going through the wall. So I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit.
A little bit of clipping, but you're okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can move it. This is really hard, folks, to do. This is where you would want some help. So I'm going to try scaling this up. And then I have my daughter help build a stand out of Legos. So I'm going to put that in there. This is the whole point. So Donovan, get ready to capture the screen. I'm not going to be able to hear you because I'm going to take my headphones out and get ready to do a screen cap. Oh, why is it blurry?
Is it blurry?
Oh, it was a second ago.
Yeah.
Okay, Now here, hang on. I gotta jerry rig this thing because what I don't want is the iPad to fall. Okay. So, all right, folks, I understand that we are working within some constraints, but I'm determined to stand underneath my sign. So here we go.
There's Eric.
I'm going to crouch down because I scaled it. So, selfie moment. Say 1, 2, 3, cheese. Click.
Got it.
Did you get a?
We got it. Can you hear me?
Did
I got a screenshot.
Did you get a screen cap of that or a screenshot of that?
I got a screenshot of that.
Oh my gosh, folks! Oh, I can't believe that worked out. That was such a Jerry. I literally built an iPad stand out of Legos. So here's what we're going to do: is we're going to switch back to the main screen now. Woo! That was exciting. It felt like I did travel to outer space there for just a second.
That worked. That worked. Aside from the small space and having to crouch down a little bit, it went off without a hitch.
I knew that was going to be a problem. I knew that I can't fit this thing. When we were in Vegas, we're going to have a much bigger space to work in. I'm doing this in something a little bit larger than a coat closet. So, well, now what do we do? Oh, well, we don't have to keep going. We're almost at our time anyway. I was going to say we did it.
Yeah,
that was the goal, folks. So I'm going to leave. Let's just spend a couple minutes wrapping up. I want to answer any last minute questions since we have the time. Does anyone have any ideas? Is anyone going to enter this thing? You've got to enter because otherwise I have to make 6 of these and I don't want to go to base camp in November at Dimensions and then not have your work represented. This is a community competition and I won't ask again. I'm just going to say it. I would want to see your ideas are way better than mine and I can't wait to see what you come up with. So again, there's a form on the website. All you got to do is download the template. And then if you need to go back and watch this video, if you get confused for any reason, just go back and watch what we did today. And then there's some official rules if that helps. But for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. Do a model, send it to us. If it meets the requirements and it's a good model, who knows? We're going to exhibit it. We're going to give you credit for it. We're going to give you props for it. We're going to put your name. We're going to splash around social media. It's a great thing too. I've seen last year, there was a team where the owner of a small firm, actually Fat Pencil Studio, I'll give them some credit. So credit to them. They required that their team entered the competition as a way to practice their SketchUp skills. So I thought that was actually pretty cool that they did that. And so multiple people from the same team entered our competition. So
that was cool. Transom says it's right out of Star Trek. Speaking of which, you create a teleporter pad. Enter that. That would be cool. That'd be a good selfie experience. Digital teleporter pad.
Yeah, do something think about it. I mean, you could do something like a hot air balloon that you get into. You don't have to see the whole, you know what I mean? When you say it has to fit within this space, it doesn't all have to fit within the space. It's just the experience has to fit within the space. It could be something that goes off camera. Do you know what I mean? I'm just thinking of the up house. I mean, there's so many different things. There's so many different things we could do.
The bottom of a dinosaur foot about to squish you and you
crouch down, big old T-Rex foot just coming down and you're just going, something to interact with. Mine here, this is why you guys are more creative than me, because mine here clearly, is not really something that you would interact with other than just kind of come and stand underneath it and get your shot and then post it to social or whatever. But
Keggy says this is one of the best live sessions this year. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, well, the year is young. We are just getting warmed up. I'm going to stop there. We did it. I can't believe we did it. I was a little worried. I'm going to say thank you all again for tuning in. And if you're watching after the live stream, thanks for watching afterwards. And I'm going to put a link after the video wraps up. I'll put a link to the competition notes to where you can get the template and how you can submit. You can also find me on the forum, Eric S. You'll find me if you ever want to just say, I want to run an idea by you. Do you think this would work? I mean, obviously you can submit it, and if it's close, I can always push back and say, hey, it's great, but it's just not quite there. We can always. We don't need to have a design discussion, but the point is that I love collaborating with the community. Post something to the forum, post your ideas there, and we'll take it there. I'm going to post this to the forum afterwards too. So I'll post a link to the YouTube. I'll post this model. I'm going to replace this model, the one, this one here. I will replace that with the new text, and then I'll share that with everybody. So go home and try it yourself. So that's it. Anything from you, Donovan? Wrap us up. Take us home, buddy.
Well, this has been so much fun. I mean, just the gradient on the rock fixtures just blew my mind, and then you just kept going with it. It was amazing. I love these lives that we get to do. I hope everybody got got some out of this that you can take and put in your own models. If you do, let us know. Leave us a comment. You can always talk to us on the forum. We're always very active on the forum. Forums at SketchUp.com. And just keep modeling. We'll see you next week.
Yep. On that note, I'm going to set my camera, 2-point perspective. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. I'm going to go ahead and freeze this moment in time. And luckily we are frozen in time. Hopefully this video will stay up on YouTube. But it's time for you to go make your moment. I'm going to leave you there. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.
See ya.